Hello everyone, can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Loud and clear. Awesome. All right, we got about 30 seconds before we kick off. So good to see you all, guys. Yep, sit up straight, behave yourself. Bob's watching. All right, great. Kia ora. Good to see you guys. All right, we're getting ready. Getting ready for that countdown. 13 seconds. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. And hello everybody, and welcome to Live from Lockdown episode number 61. So it's good to see all of you guys here. We have a special episode this week. We're going to be looking at the new features inside of Photoshop and Lightroom, and also we're going to be doing the live drawing to give away the Boris FX Studio, which is worth I think like $1,200, and then a copy of Optics, which is worth about $100. So we've got some nice giveaways that we're going to be doing later on. And it's good to see all the regulars here in the house. A lot of people here. We've got some new people. And why don't you just give a shout out. Tell us where you're from in the chat. If you're a regular, just say, hi, I'm a regular. And all the regulars know the regulars. But that way, if you're new, then you'll know, oh, these are the regulars. And if you're new, say, hey, I'm new. And everybody's super kind. So don't worry about, anything about that. You're going to be good. Sorry about that. Had to take a drink of water. All right. So, a couple of quick housekeeping things to get out of the way before we jump into all the goodness and excitement that we have here. And what I do want to do is, number one, let's do the, before we're going to do the giveaway in a little bit. But what I want to do is give you an opportunity to enter the giveaway. So if you're like, what is this giveaway? How do I even get into it? Basically, we started it last week. Let me just grab the link here. And what we did is last week's live stream. I'm going to give you guys a link to it right now. I'm going to post that into the chat. That's last week's live stream. And if you look at it on here, you'll find it. It's on YouTube, and it was Live from Lockdown. Let me make sure I show you guys. So Live from Lockdown, episode 60, and that was last week where we did a special on the Boris FX Optics plugin. And we gave one copy away. We're going to give 2 copies away, so I'll give you that link. And all you've got to do, if you haven't already done it, is just drop a comment in here. And that's all you got to do is in the comments field and say, hey, I do video, or, I'm a photographer, because that way we know whether to give you the photography bundle or, not necessarily photography or a designer. But just let us know if you do video, because that way, we want to give the video suite to people who do video. And then later on, we're going to do a live drawing from here, and we're going to give away 2 prizes. So stay tuned for that. Once again, that link there is in the chat, and I'm going to drop it in one more time so you guys have got that. And so don't put the chat in here, not into the chat, not into the live chat, because I'm not going to do the drawing from there. I'm going to be doing the live chat on that, the drawing on that chat from that link. So click on that link. If you hold down the control of the command key, I believe you can launch a new window or cut and paste it into a new window, and just drop that comment in there quickly. And then later on, we'll do that drawing. So we won't be talking about that again. Great. Okay, another thing. If you guys joined us and you got the announcement on the newsletter, I sent this out to the entire list. If you haven't got an announcement recently, you've been like, wow, I haven't seen these live streams for a while. We've been doing them every single week. And what we've done is I'm not sending it out to the entire list anymore. So I only want to send it out to specifically the people that have asked for that. So if that's you're like, wow, okay, I didn't know you were doing that. Here's a link. So click on that link here, and let me just show you where that'll take you. We'll get all this out of the way, and we'll jump to the new features in Photoshop and Lightroom and Photoshop in just a second. So let me just get that. So basically what it does is it takes you to a place on photoshopCAFE. If you just go up there, you're going to see it's photoshopCAFE/livestreams. I posted that in the chat, so you can click on that. Or just go into free tutorial live streams. And then you'll see the archive of the live streams. Click on the newest one. It's going to take you to a new page right here. And then you'll see this form. Put your email address into this form. And this form is for the notifications for the live stream. So if you don't put your name in here, you're not going to get those notifications. So only the people that have joined it. If you've already done that, you don't need to do it again. So even if you're on the regular list, if you're not getting notifications for live stream, drop that notification in there. And then each week, you'll be getting that 15 minutes before we go live. All right. So we got all that out of the way. Good to see you guys, everybody here. Looks like we've got lots of wonderful people here right now. And I've got a million windows open here. So let me just go to the right window so I can see what's going on here. There we go. Pop that open. Great. All right. So why don't we jump in? So some of you might have seen my video I dropped in this week, actually just 2 days ago, talking about the new features inside of Photoshop. And also last week I did another one for Lightroom. So we're going to talk about Photoshop, Lightroom, Camera Raw, but why don't we start with the big wow whiz bang feature inside of Photoshop that everybody got super excited about that. And by the way, I posted that under the community tab in YouTube to see what people like the best, and it was the Colorize. Sorry guys, I'm drinking. I've got a very dry throat today. It's very hot here in Southern California. So let me just bring this up. And I've also got some interesting things to show you here. But let's start off. I'm just going to quickly do the one that I used on my tutorial, and then we're going to jump into some other ones and see how it works. So let's do that right now. Let's just do the one here. You guys probably saw that if you watched my tutorial this week. We got this picture I grabbed of Marilyn Monroe from public domain. And then, so what we're going to do is we're going to go up under the filters, and we'll use some different ones in a sec, but under the neural filters. All right, so here's the neural filters. These neural filters are working using AI, which is Adobe Sensei. And there's some things to know about these. The featured ones are, these ones are working, so we can reduce artifacts and JPEGs. That's one that's been recently updated. That's pretty cool. We can transfer styles from one thing to another. We know about that one. Skin smoothing. We can apply some skin smoothing. These all work pretty nicely. There's some tips to using some of these. For example, the skin smoothing. Make sure you make a copy, and then you can mask it out, or just to reduce the opacity. So that way you get a more natural result, so you don't have to necessarily just, nuke your images. All right, so then under the beta, we've got some different ones, and one of these is Colorize. So watch this picture of Marilyn Monroe, but before we do, there's one thing you need to make sure of, is go up under image mode. And of course, I've already got this launched, and I've got it in RGB. But if you go under image mode there, make sure you're not in grayscale mode. Make sure you're in RGB mode, because you can't apply color to a grayscale. You can apply it to grayscale image as long as it's in RGB mode, which has 3 color channels. If it's in grayscale, there's only a single channel, and that single channel, you can't apply color because you need 3 channels to do that. All right, so just make sure you do that. If it doesn't work, that's why. And then we're going to choose Colorize, and watch this. It's amazing. Look, boom, just like that, and it colorizes that photo. So you guys have already seen that. Now, there's different things we can do in here, of course. We can go in and we can change these focal points. So, let's see what happens if we do that. If we're like, I want to change the color here, and I'm going to choose green. You can literally make that section green by choosing that. I didn't know if you guys knew you could do that. So this is something I didn't do in the tutorial before. So yeah, we can do the green Martian Marilyn just by clicking there, reduce the size of that. So yeah, you can get some pretty crazy results. Now, if we wanted to do avatar version, we could do that. Now, this is not so we can do these, what I'm doing here. I just want to show you how it works. We'll jump into something a little more practical. But if you're not getting the the result you want exactly where you want it, you can go in here and you can do those. Let's just hit the little minus thing. We're going to get rid of those, all of them, just by hitting that minus a few more times. And then we go there. Now, you can also change the color. So if you want to, make it more saturated, you can increase that saturation. And if it's too saturated, bring it back, get a hand painted kind of a style. Now, I think someone was mentioning on here the finger didn't quite get. So if you click there on that finger, and then maybe under that finger, we can choose something that looks like a skin tone. We could probably go in there and maybe fix that a little bit. Is that working? Yeah, there we go. See how that finger there, we're able to give it a little bit more punch. Maybe give it a little bit more saturation there. And see how you can force that in there. So that's one way you can do that. You can also adjust, different colors here to get a different kind of a look. If it's a very noisy image, like an older image, you can reduce the noise. So you can make it smoother. Look at that, very, very smooth. And let me take that back. So you've got skin smoothing built in there. We can retain original colors, which is not going to do much when we're doing black and white. We want to colorize it. So there's a lot of different things you can do there. And then, of course, we can look at the before and after by clicking on the preview changes. Let's reduce that color artifact. Let's go back to take our colors off. We can output this to the current layer, which means it's just going to replace what's there. We can duplicate the layer, which is a good option a lot of the time. We can do a duplicated layer with a mask on it, a new layer, or a smart filter. So we've got different ways that we can work with these depending on how you want to output it. So it's going to give you some different options here. Now we do our before, we do our after. Now you can see the difference. And let's go down here and we're going to click OK. We're going to apply this. So why don't we try something else? Now what I did is I started digging into some of the historical kind of pictures. So let's go here. We're going to open this up and let's grab a famous photo. Now some of these are going to work better than others. Everyone knows this, the Iwo Jima photo. So let's go through this. We're going to choose image mode. We want to make sure we're in RGB mode, not grayscale, because it was actually grayscale when I downloaded it. And we'll talk about that in a second too. And then we're going to go under the filter. We're going to grab the neural filters. And we're going to choose colorize. And boom, look at that. Now, how does it know that that flag is an American flag and it's supposed to be red and white? Because it uses Adobe Sensei, which is AI, artificial intelligence. And it can actually be trained to look at different photographs. And so it looks at it and it actually starts to recognize, oh, this is sky, this is ground, this is a flag. And I don't know if we can do this with the focal point, but let's see what happens if we try to add a little blue in here and see if we can adjust. I don't know if it's going to work. Never tried this before. Okay, a little too much. Let's bring the size down. Oh yeah, look at that. We can add a little bit of blue there. So we're just hitting that part of the flag. Too much. Take it back down. And you just got to balance it where it fits. Okay, yeah, we can do that. And we've got reduce color artifacts turned on there. All right, so before we go on, let me show you how you can be involved in what filters Adobe's going to add next. So if you choose the waitlist, now you can go under all of these, noise reduction, face cleanup. So an AI noise reduction is obviously something that we want on one, and some other companies have that right now. So you can click on it, and all you're going to get is this. It says advanced noise reduction using the neural network. I'm interested. So if you're interested, click that, and that will give you a vote. And then Adobe's going to look at this. If you start to see a lot of votes for certain things, then Adobe's going to go, oh, we should develop these ones first. So these are just kind of ideas right now. Some of them Maybe they've started working on them. Maybe some of them they haven't. But these are things that Adobe wants to do, but is gauging interest and is going to develop in those areas. So we go to photo to a sketch, which would be good. I mean, but you can just duplicate the layer, convert it to black and white, invert it, and change it to color burn, and then add a blur, and you can get the same effect. I've got a tutorial shows you guys how to do that, but you know, that's another option. Or you can also do that under the library. So we can get that, but we can do a sketch to a portrait. Now this is interesting. The AI could actually build a photo of a face from a sketch. Very interesting. Actually, that could be really useful, you know, for detectives, criminal investigation and stuff. Pencil artwork, face caricature. That would be fun. I could make fun of Bruce. And then face clean, remove glasses and things like that. So there's some different things there that could be added in the future. Get your votes in there and let Adobe know what you want to do. And by the way, Bruce is in the house. Bruce is our moderator. So if you need a drink, get your drink order in, get your meal order in. Probably not much time for meals today, but we'll get your drink order, and Bruce will be happy to bring that to you. And if you have any other issues, like you misbehave, Bruce will be there to make sure that you are sufficiently disciplined. All right, so say hi to Bruce, everybody, in the chat. And thank you, Bruce, for helping out here. And, of course, we also, as Bruce said earlier on, smash that like button. Yes, do that, guys. If you're liking this or getting any value out of it, helps us with the algorithm on YouTube. And if you're new, you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. All right, moving on. And don't worry if you're late, guys. Question I always get asked, will the replay be there? Yes, there will be a replay of this right after we are done. So yes, there will be. All right, so let's go back into the black and white again. And I'm going to try something just kind of for fun. So what happens if we go under the, whoa, my library's all playing up. Of course it's going to play up because we're live. There we go. Now it's working again. This is something you can guarantee if you are doing something live, you're going to have issues with just things that normally work fine are just going to stop working because the whole world's watching. All right, that is weird. Let me close this out. I have never had the library go bad before. All right, I'm restarting Photoshop. I'm just not going to even mess around with that. And let's get out of there. Now, if you have a problem with Photoshop, first thing you do is you restart it. And let's go back. Second thing you do, if you still have that problem, is you reset the preferences. Hold down Shift, Option, Command as you restart, and then it gives you the option to reset the preferences. Those are the first kind of lines of defense, so to speak, when it comes to troubleshooting in Photoshop. All right, looks like everything's back again. All right, so why don't we just do something here? We're going to grab a photo of a person, and let's see what happens if we edit this. We've got a strong color cast on here. And I'm going to convert this to black and white. So what we're going to do is we're going to Command-Shift-U, Control-Shift-U on Windows. So now we've got a black and white image. And now we're going to colorize it. So let's go back into the filter, back into our neural filters here. And we are going to choose Colorize. Right now it has no idea what colors that it was. It's just looking at a black and white photo right now. So when we hit Colorize, it's going to colorize it based on its AI. All right, so not bad. Let's have a look and see what we can do to fix that. Let's increase the saturation maybe a little bit. And I think it's going to be confused because of this light that's coming here is going to confuse it a little bit. No big deal. Let's boost that saturation a little bit more. There we go. Now we're starting to get there. And of course, being AI, it's not always going to be perfect. So there's different things we can do here. Now, one of the things we could do is we could try this focal point again that I showed you guys about before. So we click on there, choose a blue. I wish the eyedropper would work so we could sample colors off there, but maybe that's another feature that I'll add later. Because normally, you know, when you're doing this kind of thing, you're going to do that. Let's grab some blue. And let's see how it applies there. All right, a little too much. Let's bring the size back a little bit and see what we can do. All right, so we can fix it that way. Not that much, a little bit more, please. And you're just going to kind of dial it in. Yeah, so we could do that. We could drop different pieces in there. So we want to include that. Notice what's happening as we're doing it. Drop that size down on that second one. We're getting a little bit of blue there. Maybe everything's too saturated now. Bring it back a little bit. Great, look at that. Not bad. Let's get rid of the reduce the color artifacts, because I actually like the color artifacts and noise. That's cool. Now, if you wanted to make this a different color, we could add another point here. Choose a color. Let's go with the back to that cyberpunk kind of a pink, and see if it will get that on the screen. Let's see what happens. Might need to increase the size a little bit. Let's do that. There we go. Boom. And look at that. Now we're able to colorize it. Remember, this was starting from black and white, and nothing is happening. So we're going to click OK. Now, I want to show you some interesting things that you can do in here with this. Now, what if, because I get questions from people, hey, you know, what if the colors didn't work, you know? Well, there's other things we can do. We can go in, we can create a new layer. And then with the new layer, we can choose a brush. We can sample a color. And let me make that small. Now, if you really wanted to be clever, you would grab the object selection tool and you'd make a selection around there. Make sure you select the correct layer. And it's like, oh yeah, okay, it's got that. Okay, now let's go in and grab a brush and we can paint in there. Now notice it looks really weird, but if we change the blending mode to color, notice that we can fix that. So let's grab some blue. And so if you don't quite get the colors you want in here, guys, let me just Control D. You can just paint over the top. See, there we go. And I'm just painting in color blending mode, and I can fine tune those colors. You know, I don't know if I mind. I don't mind a little bit of this color reflecting off there because that's probably more realistic to what you would get from that. But maybe you want a little bit on the front of the face. You could, you know, you could do that as well. Drop the opacity down if it's too strong, and start to blend it in. So you've got a lot of control there. You know, you could put a little bit of that color on the areas that are facing. I'm just doing this completely wrong. Let me do it right. Let me drop the opacity down on this brush. Don't be lazy, Colin. And we're just going to drop that down now with the brush. And, you know, you could start to, you know, just put a little hint of color in here. See what I'm doing now? We've got the color facing there. So if you wanted to get super accurate, you know, you could go in and you could do all that kind of stuff like I'm doing there, if you wanted to. All right, so that's how you can kind of take control and do manual work on that after the fact. And this can work. Now, let me just tell you something too. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but public domain images. There's a lot of images that are copyright free. Some of them are just older because the copyrights have expired. Some of them, there are no copyrights on them. You can look under National Archives. So you can just Google that, like black and white photos, historic photos. You're going to find a lot that you can work with that are completely free of any you know, copyrights or anything like that to use. The other one is a lot of government photos, NASA photos, different things like that. Those are also free in the public domain, at least for people in the United States, because you've already paid for that for your taxpayers' money. I didn't know if you guys were aware of that, but you can go on NASA. All those photos, you can use those. Those are public domain as well. So, having said that, if you were going to look for a photo, you know, you could just pull up Google here and say public domain black and white photo. Let's do historic. You can punch it in here, and you're not necessarily wanting to go in here and grab the Google images unless it tells you it's public domain. Because some of these are saying, okay, licensable, you know. So be a little careful doing Google images like that, because that just because you see an image there doesn't mean you can use it. But if you go onto there and then you can search and you can see, oh, Library of Congress. Okay, so under the Library of Congress, these are public domain photos that you're able to use. And we can see, you know, we've got all kinds of different ones here. I don't know, 19th century portraits. Look at this. We've got all kinds of photos that we could grab here. Oh, these constables look kind of interesting. Now, if I'm doing something that is... Oh, hang on. I got to download it? Here we go. So if I grab something here that is sensitive, I apologize. I'm just not aware of that. So just let you guys know that. And I'm just going to go under here. And all right, so we've got these pictures here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into the image mode. We're going to choose the RGB color. And let's see how it does. So let's go under the plugin here, or not the plugin, the filter. We're going to go back under the neural filters. We're going to use the black and white, the colorize. Boom. Not bad. You know, some of them work better than others, but that's kind of cool for giving it that old kind of hand-tinted kind of a look. It's pretty neat. And then, of course, you can boost the saturation if you want. And as you saw with the picture of Marilyn Monroe, you know, some work better than others. But generally, I'm finding that when you go for these old historic, it kind of tends to do more of those, you know, hand-painted kind of a look, hand-tinted, whereas the more modern ones, they tend to make them look more modern. So it's kind of cool. All right, moving on. Let's look at another feature which is really cool. And that is the ability to change the depth of field on a photograph interactively. Now, I use this cobblestone street for my demo, so we'll use something else. Let's do something different here. Let's do a street musician and see how this works. Now, I haven't tested this at all. Well, actually, it's kind of already. Let's do something that maybe has a little bit more. Let's do this one. There we go. All right, so it's still a little blur in the background, but let's have a look. And we're going to choose the filter, and we're going to use the neural filters here. And what we want to do is depth blur. So let's turn on the depth blur. And so let's say we want to put some haze in the background. Right now it's picking it up, but if we turn on haze, and let's put a whole bunch of haze in here. Takes a second. There we go. Let's do a little bit more. And I see what's happening here. It's seeing that focal length behind the van. So let's bring that range, or that focal distance. Let's see what happens when we move that. Okay, a little close. Let's go back a little bit more. And notice we can change, literally, where we can do a rack focus. So see how the background now is in focus, the foreground. Let's bring it even more. Let's go all the way forward. Give it a second. So he's nice and sharp. Look at that. Or we could go the other way. And he's going to be super blurry. Let's watch this. There we go. So you can change that focal distance. Let's do it again. All right. And we've got that haze going, but let's change the temperature of that. So we're going to turn on warmth, and let's make it warmer. And there we go. See what's happening in the background there behind that van? It's showing, okay, that's warm, or we can make it cool. Give it a second. There we go. So it's focusing very, very far back. We want to come forward a little bit, maybe on the van. So we've got a focal point. So why don't we click on the van as the focal point? And notice what it's doing. Now that's in focus, and everything behind it and everything in front of it is blurry. Let's focus on our person. Now when we do that, that moves it forward. And let's do the focal range. Now this determines how thin or how wide the depth of field is going to be. So let's go very narrow. There we go. And you can see what it's doing there is it's making that very narrow. And I'm just going to focus forward right on this box. And notice as I change the warmth, that just enables you to kind of see. You can see what's going on there. So all that background, we're changing, literally changing all of that. You know, we've got a lot of other things. But here's what's cool is if we look at this, we can see a depth map. So we've got this depth map, which is kind of like, you know, when you use your smartphone. And with the smartphone, you do the portrait mode. And the portrait mode determines depth. So it's saying, you know what, this is the, the darkest areas closest to us, the lightest areas furthest away, and the different shades is determining how far away it is from us. And let me just click OK. We're going to output this depth map only, because this can also be useful. We could do things like, just throw this into, if you want to lighten that background, but there's other things you can do with the depth map. For example, let me go here. And if I go into the channels here, I'm going to create a brand new channel. All right, so we've got a new channel there, and I'm going to call it D for depth map. And all I did is just duplicated the channel. Go back to the layer, let's hide that, and we're going to create a new layer. All right, so we're just working on a new layer, but under the channels, we've now got that depth map saved as a channel. If you missed that, it'll be in the replay. All right, so what we want to do now is I'm going to duplicate that layer. Actually, I'm just going to hit Control J because I don't think it'll work on a new layer. And if we choose filter, this is where we can go in and use it with other filters. So for example, if we go under the blur, we have a lens blur. And with this lens blur selected, we can choose things like, our depth map. Our source is D. So now let's just change the amount of blur. And watch this. Notice I can change this, or I can rack focus this now. See what we're doing? And so now he's sharp. Background's blurry. I mean, it was blurry before. But we can use this, and this is where we can do things now like create different irises. So it mimics the look from different apertures on cameras. So let's go here. We're going to get some specular highlights maybe. Let's see where we go here. There we go. See what we're doing? Notice down that area there. We can set that threshold, and now we can create bokeh. And of course you can put a little bit of noise. Now why would you want to put noise? Because if there's a noise in the photograph and the background's too smooth, you can match it by just putting a little bit of noise in there. But let me cancel here and let's go into another photo that's just going to show this better. Let's do this cobbled street that I used in the other tutorial. And this will show it very, very well. So let's choose filter, neural filters. D for Depth Map would be a good name of a band. Mike Freeze, how are you there? Good to see you, man. Mike has done a lot of video editing for us in the past. Is my screen blurred? If the screen's blurred, just hit refresh, guys. All right, watch this. Okay, so now we're going to turn on the depth blur. And this is where this is going to start to blow your mind. Watch this. Look at that. See the backgrounds? Watch when I change the focal distance. So we're going to focus in a different area now. Watch this. Now the background's sharp. So literally we can move this along the plane. So see how now we're focusing in this area over there in the distance. Now, if you want to change the way that works, you can adjust the focal range. Let's do that. See how that kind of loosens it up a little bit? And now a larger area is going to be in focus. Tends to work better with lower areas. Watch this when we go a little bit lower. Now, if you want to get right on those cars, you could play around with the focal distance. Let me make that just a little bit bigger. You could play around with the focal distance, or you could just click. So when we click in here, what it does is it sets that focal distance. So there we go. Now we've got our cars nice and sharp. Everything else is blurry. Or we can, go there. We can drag this to this side. So this is going to be a little bit more realistic. Now we start to do realistic. And let's take that blur strength down a little bit. And notice what we can do now. We can start to get some really cool effects. If we wanted to go on the building here. There we go. And look at this. This is just, I can see this being really useful for things like compositing, design, different things like that. For designers, you've got a very sharp image. You don't know where to put your text. Create, a nice depth blur here. Now the foreground is nice and blurry. You can put your text in there and it's going to read nice and easy. Or photographers, you know, you want to do it for your landscape photos. Well, we'll try this on one of my photos in a second. In fact, why don't we do that right now? But let me show you the depth map once more. See that depth map? Click OK. And I'm going to do this once again what I did. We're going to choose the channels. I'm just going to grab any channel because they're the same, and I'm going to duplicate it. And we don't even have to rename it. Let's hide that. And I'm just duplicating it. So now if we go under Filter Blur, and other tools, by the way, inside of Photoshop have this. So let's use our lens blur. And with our lens blur selected, it's already grabbed the blue copy. It knows that. So, you know, we want to add a blur. There we go. And of course, we've got our very high specular highlights going on there. We can bring those down. See that? So if you want control over that bokeh, which is why it looked kind of strange, was because of that bokeh's going on. So we got those specular highlights, play around with the threshold, and you can determine, hey, how much do you want here? You know, some kind of light, like some sunlight maybe going down there. You've got a lot of control. And of course, we can go in here and we can change our focal distance. Like that. Or we can click. If we decide, hey, I want this background to be sharp, or I want these cars to be sharp. See what we're doing? We're just clicking on here, and notice now we're using the lens blur filter. We can get maybe a little bit more of a realistic looking blur. And see what I'm doing? I'm grabbing it in different areas here, or we can grab up there. You know, it's just going to give you that little bit of extra control. So it just, you know, gives you that option to do that. So we can set that focal distance ourselves doing that. All right, so let me just, I'm going to go into Lightroom here. And in Lightroom, there's a couple of features I want to show you. You know what I'm going to do real quickly? Let me just, while we're in Lightroom, we'll come back to that in a sec. I want to show you something else. So right now I am searching by camera. And so I'm looking at the A7 S3 camera, the Sony A7S III. It's an amazing camera, really good low lights, really made for video because it's only 12 megapixels. So you can get amazing video with it, but the problem with the photos sometimes is they're not really going to be huge. So say we've got a photo, and I don't know if these are in focus. There's one. And I shot this in Hawaii last year. And the photo's all right, but, you know, I can zoom in, but I'd like to get larger. So if you guys remember super resolution, it came into Camera Raw recently. Now it's in Lightroom Classic. So if you right click and we choose Enhance, we have the option here to go into super resolution. Now the super resolution is going to double the length and double the height of this photo. So it's going to give us 4 times the resolution. And it says it's going to take 4 seconds. So why don't we click Enhance? And you can see up in the top left, it's working on that. And now it's done. So if we look at the photo here, it stacks it, by the way, with the original. So I'm just clicking on that stack. And let me just drag that over a little bit. There we go. And if you look at the name, you can see it says enhanced.dng. So there's the original image next to it on the left. There's the enhanced image. They look the same right now. But once we go into 100% view, there's the original 100% view. Let's go into the enhanced at 100% view and look at that. We've got a lot more detail there, so we can zoom in closer. We can crop that photo. So, you know, if you didn't have that long lens, or you need to print this larger, you know, such as a poster or something like that, we now have the ability to do that. So that's pretty neat. Now it will work with super large images. You know, we can do that as well. Say for example, here's one that's really large. And notice this area here is nice and sharp. We can right click, we can go into super resolution. We can choose enhanced. Give it a second. It's going to take 15 seconds to do this one. We're going to click enhance. Why is it taking 15 seconds? Because I shot this on the Sony A1. So this photo that we're enhancing right now is already a 50 megapixel file. So this will work, I think. It says in creating enhanced DNG. Yep, it's there. We were able to enhance a 50 megapixel image. That's pretty powerful. All right, so let's see what we got out of that. So we're clicking on 1, and there's our enhanced DNG. And now we zoom into 100% view and give it a second. It has to build a new preview. And look at that. We are going in really, really tight. And, you know, that's pretty big. So let's have a look at this and edit this inside of Photoshop. Let's just see how big this got. So this is super resolution. That is now in Camera Raw, and it's also inside of Photoshop. So I'm looking at this. It's now 17,000 pixels by 11,520 pixels. So this is, you know, huge. So, you know, if you guys need more resolution, there you go. And how does it compare with Gigabit with Topaz? I haven't compared it. Some people have done tests on it, and from what I understand, the results are very similar. So, but this is, you know, free if you already have Photoshop. It's already included. So it works on JPEGs, it works on TIFFs, it works on RAW files. And so one of the nice things now about having it inside of Lightroom is it's a lot easier to do that in there. Now, let me just show you another thing. Have you ever been working inside of Photoshop and they made a change recently? And I've seen some comments about that in my videos. And we choose File, Save As. This is a different feature, by the way. And we choose Save As, and we go to Save As. And Format, let's choose a JPEG. Oh, it's not there. Have any of you had that? And because it's a layered file, most of the options are gone. GIF is gone, or GIF. GIF, it just sounds weird. JPEG, you know, a lot of other formats are not there. And the reason Adobe changed this is because they wanted to make Save As where you couldn't accidentally overwrite a layered file with a flattened file. That's why they changed this. Now, when you're in here, you'll see there's an option that says Save a Copy. This is new. So you can choose Save a Copy, and then once you go to choose a Save a Copy, now all the options are available. So you can say, okay, I want that JPEG, or, you know, whatever. And it's going to add copy to that name, so you know, okay, it's not overwriting it. Now we've got the JPEG. Now, why is this? Well, you know, there was a bug inside of Apple. And this is something, you know, a lot of people probably don't know. You could save, and it's been there for a long time, where you could actually take a PSD file and you could save it as a JPEG with the file extension. Or you could take that flattened file and you could save it as a with, you know, literally for different extensions. So you could take, you know, you could save a JPEG with a PSD extension. It was like a bug that's been in Apple for a little while. So you can kind of get around that now. But then there's another thing you can do is if you want to choose File and you don't choose Save As, you have the option to save a copy directly here, and all your settings are there. Now, if you're one of those people, yes, and it adds the word copy to the file. Ralph Nelson, good to see you, Ralph. And you're right, but it adds the word copy to the file. So what if you don't like any of this? This is where a new feature is being put into Photoshop, which you guys are going to love. Photoshop preferences, right? We've had a lot of people complaining about this. So we go down to file handling. We've got some options under filing handling. Do not append copy to the file name when saving a copy. So if you turn that on, you can save a copy now and it doesn't add copy to the file name. So yay! Or if you're like me and you're like, you know, I just don't like all this new stuff. Let's just go back to how it was. Turn on Legacy Save As. Click OK. Done. Now, it might not work yet. I probably have to restart Photoshop. But let's have a look. No, it works right away. Okay. So there we go. So now it works exactly how it worked before. Let me show you that again. Under Preferences, if we choose to, under Performance, did I say Performance? File Handling. Once again. And under Windows, I believe it's under the Photoshop menu or the Edit menu to find the preferences. if you turn on legacy save as, I'm going to go back so I can demo this other times. It will go back to how it was. And okay, you're welcome, Ralph, when it came out like a week ago. So if you guys are wanting to update Photoshop and you're like, hey, I didn't see the update, what you do is you go to the Creative Cloud icon. I'm on Mac. If you're on Windows, it's at the bottom. And then you get updates. If you don't see your update here and you're like, it's not there, what you want to do is don't choose update all because it's going to update everything. Click the little ellipses and you're going to choose don't enable auto update unless you want everything to update, which I wouldn't recommend. Choose check for updates. Now it's going to go onto the cloud and look for the up to the second update. And then, you know, if you see it, you click update and now it's going to update. So that's just a little tip there on updating stuff inside of Photoshop. All right. What else have we got here? We've got other new features coming up. Okay, so let me just go back. I'm going to go back to Lightroom for 1 second. So here we are in Lightroom Classic. We're back in here. So there is another new feature that's been added to Lightroom. Now, how many Nikon shooters do we have? Now, Kathy, why do you not update? I do actually update, Kathy, but I don't want to auto update because I want to, because for example, I have other products, like I have Premiere Pro, and every time I do the latest, I shouldn't even say this, but every time I do the latest update, it breaks within like 10 seconds. So I don't necessarily want to have those updates automatically happen when I'm working on a project. So if there's something I need to figure out, a configuration thing, when I have a moment and I'm not doing it, then I can update at my own time, troubleshoot if there's an issue. So yeah, I don't want those updates happening in the middle of a project. Okay, so we've got some Nikon shooters. All right. So I do not have a Nikon camera, but I do have a Canon camera here. And the reason I'm doing this is because this feature was added for Canon before, but it's now new in Nikon. And that's the ability to do live view. So if you are Canon shooters and you haven't seen this yet, this is available for you. And if you're Nikon shooters, this is now available for you as well. Just added. Let me show you. Now, if you're a Sony shooter, hopefully it's coming. There we go. I'm just unveiling. I've got a Tether Tools cable here. I'm going to plug this in. How much RAM should I have to run both? Let me plug this camera in to run both Nikon and Canon. I'm joking. So let's have a look. As much RAM as you can get is great. You can work with 16 gigs if you want. 32 is better. 64 is even better. Okay, so now I've got this Canon plugged in. Now imagine this was a Sony maybe in the future. And of course, you know, I have Sony here too. I'm shooting Sony as well. So Nikon users, Canon users, turn your camera on, and then what you're doing is you're doing a tethered shoot. So now it's going to load up and it says, hey, it's a 5D Mark IV. I want to import all those pictures. No, we're not going to do that. But what we are going to do is we're going to go to tethered shooting. Let me go to the desktop. Actually, I need to do both so you guys can see. Let me go to insert right. So I'm on the right because I want you to see the camera as well. All right, so now I'm going to go under here and you're going to go to tethered capture. You can choose start tethered capture. Choose a location, give it a name, all that fun stuff. Click OK. And now you're going to see this. Now, this was there before. Now, if you were using a Nikon, it's going to show Nikon D, whatever it is, or Z, whatever it is. And what we could do before is we could click here and it would take a photograph. And it's going to load that photo on. There it is. That photo just happened right now live. But it gets better than that. If we choose live, now we're in live view. My hand, hello, my water. So now I can move this around. I can zoom in. You know, so you can literally use this now to get your shot with the live view. So you can see that now. And then, I want to take a picture, I can just go down under here Let me move this to the side. All right, so check that out. So now you can take a photo, but we've got other things. What if I wanted to focus on that water bottle instead? I can choose autofocus. Now it focuses on the water bottle. Look at that. If I turn off autofocus, I can manually change this focus. Look. And now I'm manually focusing. And this is useful if you've got this on a tripod, you're doing product photography, or maybe you're doing macro photography and you want to do focus stacking. Well, you can do that. You can click the little increment, one at a time. That's the small one. Take the photo, increment, take a photo, increment, take a photo, and keep going. So you can do the focus stacking. Of course, we can also change, our ISO. Want to make that brighter. Control over the shutter speed. Aperture, we've got control over all these things right here inside of. And if you want, we could even go in here and we could apply, a preset directly to that. So when we take that photo, it's going to automatically apply that preset. I can see that worked really well. Meaning it didn't. Oh, there we go. Okay. It just took a second to load. Okay, so that did work nicely. Yeah, so we've got this live view and, you can click on there and change your tethering settings. So is it coming to X model? I have no information on that. My guess is, yeah, I mean, if they've introduced it to one, I'm sure they're working on other ones. Hopefully it comes to Sony soon. Fuji, different ones. Now, what I would suggest for you guys is if you have a different brand of camera and you want to see that feature happen, I would contact Adobe. Go onto Adobe forums or whatever and start demanding it, and the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So that would be my suggestion. All right. Oh, good night, Rachel. You've got to go. All right, so those are some of the new features. Now we're going to do a drawing in a second. Let me just tell you guys, because I definitely want to do that very quickly. So what you want to do is I'm going to give you guys a link. Bruce, if you have that link, you can also paste it. If not, I'm posting it right now. So this is a link to last week's live stream. Good night, Rachel. And let me go there right now so I can show you guys. And we're going to give away. So here we are. This is last week's live stream. I see we've got more comments. Just drop a comment in here. I see Russ dropped a comment. Thank you for that. And so last week we did a live stream on the Boris FX optics. If you haven't yet dropped a comment in there, if you've already done it, don't do it again. But if you're not in the live chat right now, not talking about the live chat, because that's different. We did that last week and we picked a winner from there, but we're actually going to pick a winner here from the comments section. So go in there and your comment, tell us if you're a video user, and because we're going to give away a copy of Boris FX Suite, which is worth $1,200, and I'd really like that to go to a video user. So just saying there, hey, I want it, I use video or I don't, and don't worry, because if you don't use video, we're also giving away a copy of optics. And you can win that. So if you're a photographer, designer, you want optics. You're not going to use the whole suite. So we can see that, drop that comment in there. And I'm going to give you guys a second to do that. So I'm going to pause for a sec while you guys go in and do that. We've got some more features we're going to look at in a second, but I want to do this drawing pretty soon. So I'm going to do the live chat. Let's do that. YouTube comments. So we've got a YouTube comments. I'm just looking up, there's a little app we've got here. Random. So let's do this. Giveaway winner. So here we go. So I am in here right now under the YouTube random comment picker. So if I put in this YouTube video URL, this is going to randomly select one of the comments. And we're going to use that. And let me just make sure I'm copying and pasting from here so you guys know. And this is going to choose our winner. We've got 88. I'm going to refresh this really quick. And how many comments? 96. Okay, it's good. See, you guys are going. Okay, so I'm going to give you like 10 more seconds. So 10 seconds, guys. Jump in there. Drop it in there. And we're going to pick a couple of winners right now. Yeah, and I have no affiliation with this comment picker, by the way. No affiliation at all. I just know this is a fair way to do this, and it's just going to pick a random winner, and we can do this live, and you guys can watch, and you can make sure that this is fair. Hey, Jerry, good to see you. All right, guys, we're going to be doing this now. I'm now going to be posting in the URL. Okay, let's see how this works. Filter duplicate users. So we're going to do that. So that means that you can't have more than one comment. So if you've got multiple comments, it's going to ignore that. Include replies. Yep, we want to include them. No. Filter comment based on specific text. Excludes blacklist. Add it. Okay, that looks good enough to me. So let's see what happens. Get YouTube comments. Okay, we see 100 comments. 102 unique comments. All right. Pick random winner. Okay, I think this is what we do. Here we go. It's going through the comments right now. And we have a winner. SJS Photography. Are you in the house? Keep up the good work. Fine art photographer from Southern California. Keep up the good work. Are you there? Now, if this is you, STS Photography, and I'm going to take a screen capture so we can make sure we've got another prize we're about to give away. Please contact me. Send me a message. And just go to photoshopcafe.com and then just click on the contact. Give me your email address, and we will email out the license code, and you guys get that. Michael, I'm sorry, you have to be logged into YouTube to do it. So I'm sorry, we'll figure this out. You know, next giveaway we'll do something different. Sorry. All right, so we're gonna do it again now. We're gonna pick our second winner because it looks like they're photographers. We're gonna do Boris Effects Optics. So now we're gonna go, and if they don't contact us within a week, we're gonna have our runner-up, or we're going to redraw if we need to. All right, so you guys have a week for that. All right, so here we go. We're gonna pick another winner. So we're going again, and this one is going to win. If it's a video user, they're going to win the whole suite. If it's a photographer only, they'll be the second runner-up for optics, which means if SJS doesn't claim it, you get to claim it. Okay, here we go. And Carol V. Thanks to showing us winning optics would be the awesome addition, creative compositing endeavors. Okay, Carol V, are you in the house? So it looks like this is not a video user. So I'm going to grab this. You are a second runner-up, meaning that if you, if SJS doesn't claim this prize, you will get it. And what I'm going to do is, if you don't get it, I'm going to give you a $50 gift certificate to Photoshop Cafe anyway. So contact me at photoshopcafe.com, and then under there, choose the contact me, give me your email address. All right, so we're going one more. Hoping for a multimedia user. And we've got John Ritchie. I've been subscribed to Optics from your last promotion. Okay, so it looks like John Ritchie is not saying he's a video guy. Okay, so I'm going to do a capture of here. If you're in the house, you will be the next runner-up. All right, we keep going. Bruce says it's rigged. He never wins. Let's pick another winner. So I'm trying to get someone that's a video. So we're looking for someone to get that video suite. Landscape photographer. So we're just going to keep going on this. Pick another winner. We're looking for someone that does video. Side about straight to my side. Okay, so just optics user here. So we're going to keep going, looking for a video user now. Thank you, 360 capture. They're not saying they're a video user. So I'm just going to keep going until we get someone that's saying they're a video user. Okay, guys? I'm retired, focusing on photography. All right, let's keep going. Not a ton of video users on here. Yes, following strong photographers. As a photographer, all right. Let's keep going, looking for video. Come on, there's got to be some videographers in here. Okay, let's keep going. Come on, video. Designer, photographer. Oh. Keep going, keep going. Winner! Me! I won! Oh, okay, let's pick another winner. I don't count. Victor. Virus effects, optics. All right, let's keep going. Looking for video. You know, maybe I could put video in that. Oh, here we go. Video projects. Doug Bardwell. Doug, are you in the house? Doug Bardwell, you win the entire Virus Effects suite because he is using video products. Let us know if you're here. If not, contact us. And, oh, there we go. Doug is in the house. All right. So we have a winner for our video suite. So please, Doug, contact me. That's funny. Traces have this rig. Like, yeah, this is the most unrigged drawing ever in the history of drawings. So, Doug, congratulations. Contact me, please, at photoshopCAFE. Give me your email address. I'll put it to the people at Virus Effects. And you get a 1-year subscription to all their products. That's like a $1,200 value. So I hope you enjoy that. And of course, our first winner, you know, hit me up, and you're going to get your optics. So congratulations, guys. Now, for those of you who didn't win, we still have that discount code is going. Let me just share that with you right now. So if you guys want to get optics, and if you don't know what that is, click on the link here. And that's the link to optics, Virus Effects. And, you know, it's an amazing filter. Look at last week's live stream, you guys can see. But we have a 25% discount code, which is still good. And that's photoshopCAFE minus 25. There we go, guys. photoshopCAFE minus 25 will get you the 25% off. All right. Okay, so we're doing Photoshop and Lightroom updates. Let's see if we've got anything else that I haven't showed you guys. Okay, a couple more things. Speed. Speed has been improved, and another big thing is if any of you guys are Mac users, you will be happy if you are using the M1 MacBook Pro or the M1, you know, what is it, the iMac or the M1 Mac Mini? No, I'm not giving this away, just in case someone wants to ask. The good news is it's now native. So Lightroom Classic and Photoshop now are both running native inside of the M1 MacBook. So, or just M1, the Apple Silicon, so you can use it, and it is faster. It's a lot faster. I'm going to do a test soon and let you guys know how much faster it is. So, yeah, you guys are going to get that speed boost, that speed increase, and it is significant. It's very, very snappy. So that's another thing for you guys to know. And one last thing. Let me just open one of these in Photoshop, and there's another setting, another new... by the way, speed increases in Lightroom Classic across the board. Windows and Mac, but let me just open this inside of Photoshop. Edit in Photoshop. Here we go. One last change in Camera Raw. Now, of course, Camera Raw's already got the super resolution. There's new presets that are in Camera Raw and in Lightroom. Let me show you. So we could choose the filter. We're going to go to Camera Raw filter. So in here, we've got a different histogram. So the ribbon histogram shows the different color channels. And under our presets, we've got these pro presets. So there's a whole set of skin tones. So we're working with darker skins. There's a set of presets designed by professional photographers that specialize in different types of photography. We've got another photographer who has some medium skin presets. And then we've got light skin portrait presets. These are not the same presets. These presets are specifically designed for different skin tones to get you some different looks. Now let's go and look. Also, we have cinematic. So we've got some new presets. Look at these cool cinematic presets. We've got futuristic presets. Vintage. I think there's like something like 80 different or 70 or 80 new presets. So we've got all these vintage ones. Ooh, that one's kind of cool. And then we've got travel. So you want the travel ones. You've got that typical travel, millennial travel, orange and blue or orange and green. You see it all over Instagram. Yeah, so we've got different types of presets there. And I think you guys are going to enjoy those. Those are fun. And by the way, if you want more presets, photoshopcafe.com/vault. Grab all the free stuff I've got there. And I think that's about it to get you guys up to date with those presets. Share my screen. I did not share my screen. Oh, of course I didn't. All right, let me do that quickly. Sorry, guys. All right, let's do this again real quick. Let's go and look at the presets. Let me just show you those. So we go filter, camera raw presets. My bad. So under here, under camera raw, we've got the new histogram, and then we've got the new presets. And so these are the different groups I talked about. Lots of them. These are dark skin tones, medium skin tone, light skin tone. We've got cinematic, futuristic. So you can see all those different presets. And some fun ones, travel, different ones. So you can apply those in a single click. And of course, all our speed improvements and all that kind of stuff. All right, Bruce is busy filling the drink orders. You should see my monitor at this point here. I apologize that I took a second to do that, guys. Very bad of me. Is the Canon still plugged in? Is that what's happened? Oh, all right. Let me get out of there. Cancel all changes. Yeah, let's get out of there. And you guys should be seeing my screen now. Yeah, there we go. Yep, there we go. And yeah, let me go. Let's open this. I had too many drinks. That's funny. All right, so there we go. So once again, let's actually do it for portrait. And we're going to go under here, under the camera raw filter. Let's look at some of these presets. And look at these different. Very nice. All these different looks that we can apply. And this model has darker skin. So this is going to work very nicely on her. I like this red. I think it looks really good. And then, of course, we've got other ones here. And notice how these don't really work as well across darker skin tones. So it's nice to have presets that are actually engineered for the different skin tones of the models. And it's going to give you, just better presets. And then, of course, we've got all these kind of fun ones, vintage, blah, blah, blah. And all that stuff. All right, guys. So it looks like we burned through our time this week. We are going to look at our, what's in my water? Probably smoke. We had some fires again yesterday. Yay. Started up for the year. So anyway, guys, next week we're going to be jumping back. We're going to do Fix My Photo again. We're going to be looking at some of your photos that you submitted, and we're going to continue with our regular program. This week was a special because these new features dropped. We wanted to jump and do these new features and do our giveaway. So anyway, guys, hopefully this was useful for you. And, you could have a little bit of a deeper look into some of the new features in Photoshop, Camera Raw, and Lightroom. So, all right, guys. So I hope you had fun. If you haven't hit that like button, do me a favor. Smash that like. It helps us with the algorithm. And if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. And we'll be back next Thursday, 1 p.m. Pacific time with our regularly scheduled program. And thanks, guys. What type of cable for the live view? Ron is asking. I'm using a Tether Tools tether cable. You can go to tethertools.com, and I believe B&H and other places have them. They're orange cables. And they're great. I love them. I've been using them for a long time. They are designed specifically for tethering. And why is that? Because they're extra long, nice and stiff at the end so they don't break. And also they have some little things like jerk stoppers and different attachments you can put on there so they don't pull out of your camera. Now, the Canon camera itself has one of these little doohickeys that comes with it. I know Sony has them too. These little doohickeys here, whatever you call those, plugs in, screws into the camera so you don't rip the cable out, and I use it that way. But also what I do is when I attach that, I loop these around like that, and then I loop that around, and then I plug them in that way once you've looped them around each other so they don't pull out, because there's nothing more frustrating than standing on your cable, ripping it out of the camera, and having to restart the tether 10 or 20 times during a shoot. Yeah, it's happened to me. That's why I can say that 10 or 20 times, because it happens a lot. So yeah, that's what I use there. All right, guys. What else we got here? Great to be back after my move to San Francisco. Good to see you back, Bonnie. And good to see you, Richard. Tangle Tools. That's funny. It's hilarious. Tom, good to see you. Stuart Braithwaite, good to see you. Looks like Tracy's gone. See you later. Saeed, good to see you. Rael, Photo Maker, Ron, and Scott. I said Tracy already. Orcopes, good to see you again. Chris Bacon, Alistair. We've got lots of regulars in the house, of course. Russ, Rod Shelley, good to see you again. And Ralph Nelson, I'm glad you're joining us. You must have got the notification this week. Hannah, good to see you. So lots of regs here in the house. So I guess we'll see you all next week. Thanks, guys. And I make this smooth exit as soon as I can find the stop button on all these wonderful screens everywhere. Here we go. Here's the end stream. Bye.